Are you learning chemistry for the first time, children? When you hear the words atoms, molecules, compounds, elements, getting confused? Don't worry. That's what we are going to learn in this lesson. Now you just have a look around. You will find many things made up of different materials. For example, things made of paper, wood, aluminium, iron, glass, and so on. Suppose you take a piece of aluminium, cut it into small pieces, and then again you grind it to get powder. After taking that powder to a big machine to get it smashed again, you will find that you will reach a stage where you cannot divide it anymore. And that tiniest particle which you get is nothing but an atom. So you can say it is nothing but the smallest unit of ordinary matter. Okay, and also remember, an atom is indivisible. And when you define atoms, you say it's the smallest unit of ordinary matter that constitutes a chemical element. If you want to know more about element, please watch the video till the end. Okay. First, we learn more about an atom, the structure of an atom. What is inside an atom? Here in this picture, you can see small particles going around a big ball. Those small ones going around that big one are nothing but electrons. And what you see at the center is the nucleus. So, you find electrons moving around the nucleus. Is that clear? Those tiny particles going around that big one are electrons. And what you see at the center is nucleus, and inside the nucleus there are small particles again, two types of particles. They are protons and neutrons. So, an atom consists of three particles: electrons, protons, and neutrons. Protons and neutrons are inside the nucleus. Electrons go around it. That is the structure of an atom. And you must remember, electrons are negatively charged and protons are positively charged. But neutrons have no charge. And remember, number of protons is always equal to number of electrons. That means number of positively charged particles will always be equal to number of negatively charged particles. Therefore, an atom is electrically neutral. So, I'll say once again, number of protons equal to number of electrons. Therefore, number of positive charges will be equal to number of negative charges in it. And therefore, they get cancelled. And therefore, an atom is electrically neutral. Neutrons have no charge. Now we learn about elements. The first point you got to remember is they are pure substances. What do you mean by saying pure substances? They have only one kind of atoms. Each element you take, you find it will be having same kind of atoms. So far, 118 elements are known to us. That means 118 different types of atoms. Remember like that. Out of those 118, 90 of them are natural elements, whereas 28 are artificial elements. So is that clear? When you hear the word elements, remember, they are nothing but pure substances having only one type of atoms in it. Next is classification of elements. Of these 118 elements known to us, each element is having different property from the other. They behave in a different manner. So we have classified those elements into 4 groups as metals, non-metals, metalloids, and inert gases. Metals have different chemical properties from non-metals, and non-metals are different type from metalloids, and so on. Okay, their physical properties as well as chemical properties are different. So you have to learn more about each type. That is, we learn about metals and non-metals, then metalloids and inert gases. Okay. Now we are going to learn about the physical properties of metals. When you hear the word metal, what comes into your mind? Something hard, solid, lustrous, shiny appearance? Yes, correct. They are hard solids with a shiny appearance. So you say they are lustrous. So that is the first point. Next point is that they are malleable and ductile. Malleable means they can be made into thin sheets without breaking. Okay? And ductile means they can be drawn into thin wires. So, metals are malleable and ductile. Next point is about the melting point and boiling point. You know, they are hard solids. So to melt it, change into liquid form, you have to heat it to a high temperature. Only then it will melt. And again, if you want to bring it to boil, you can imagine you will have to again heat it to a very high temperature. So you say their melting point is very high, and so is boiling point. Boiling point is also very high, melting point is also very high. The next property is conductivity. Metals are good conductors of electricity and heat. We know that we use metallic wires for electrical purposes because they are good conductors of electricity. Similarly, we use metallic vessels for cooking. Since they are good conductors of heat, they get heated up fast, and thus you can save fuel. Is it clear? The next point is sonorous. You have seen the bell. In schools, we used to use the metallic bell with a gong. On striking that metallic bell using a gong, you could hear a loud sound, isn't it? Even in the other church bells, you hear the large sound because they are made of metals. So they are sonorous, means they make sound on beating. Is that clear? Now we'll learn the physical properties of non-metals. Okay? Remember, non-metals have almost just the opposite properties of that of metals. So the first point is they are not hard solids. They are soft solids, or they exist in the form of gases. That is the first one. Soft solids, or they are in gaseous form or gases. Okay? And those non-metals which are in the form of solids are not shiny. They are not having a lustrous appearance, but they look dull. Okay? The next point is they are brittle in nature. So, malleability and ductility not possible. Okay? They are neither malleable nor ductile because they are brittle in nature. Next point is that they are bad conductors of electricity and heat. And another point, they have low melting point and boiling point. Since they are soft solids and they are in the gaseous form, you can imagine they will be having low melting point and low boiling points. Next one is they are not sonorous because they are soft solids or they are gases. Okay, is that clear? Next set of elements that you're going to learn are metalloids. Metalloids behave sometimes like metals and sometimes like non-metals. They'll show both the properties. But remember, they are hard solids. They are hard solids, but they'll show the properties of both metals and non-metals. Now the last set of elements, they are inert gases. Remember, inert gases are inert in nature. That means inactive in nature, which means that they do not take part in chemical reactions. And there are only 6 inert gases. They are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. Okay? Now we'll see the exceptions of the properties of metals. They're very important. You get questions from this. Okay? So the first point that you learned is metals are hard solids and are lustrous. But you see, mercury and gallium are liquids. Remember, mercury and gallium are liquids. They are not solids. So there's an exception there. And sodium and potassium, you see, they are soft. They are not hard. They are solids but soft. Is that clear? So you'll get question like this. Name a metal which is a liquid. So you'll have to write mercury or gallium. So exceptions are very important for the exams. Next one is about malleability and ductility. You see, zinc is brittle, so we are not able to get it in the form of thin sheets or thin wires because zinc is brittle in nature. Okay, so that is an exception there. So I'll say once again, if you get a question in the exam, to write the name of a metal which is brittle, you will have to write zinc. Okay, a soft metal, potassium or sodium, so on. Okay. Now we will see the exceptions in non-metals. You have learned that non-metals are soft solids or gases. That is the main property of non-metals you learned. They are soft solids or gases. But you see, bromine is a liquid and bromine is a non-metal. Okay. So remember, a non-metal which is a liquid is bromine. Okay. And the next one is about the conductivity. Non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity, you have learned. But there is an exception. Carbon, which is a non-metal in the form of graphite, is a good conductor of electricity. So I'll repeat. Graphite is a form of carbon and carbon is a non-metal. Non-metals are usually bad conductors of heat and electricity, but graphite is used as a good conductor of electricity. Next one is about the melting point and boiling point. You have learned that they have low melting point and boiling points, but carbon in the form of graphite has a high melting point. That means carbon is a non-metal, so you expect carbon to have low melting point and boiling point, but in the form of graphite, carbon has a high melting point. Is that clear? So children, that's all for today's class. If you like it, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.